Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm so excited because we're going to be talking about the new collection from Blend Money Cosmetics, and it is the Sickly Sweet collection. There's an eyeshadow palette and some lip oils, and as you can tell from the outside packaging and my eye look, it is a pastel eyeshadow palette and I'm so excited. I kind of had a feeling that this was coming. I know a lot of people have been asking Blend Money to create a pastel palette because their pastels in their other eyeshadows are just really great. So it was just a matter of time before they finally did it, and I'm so excited. And I did receive this palette in PR from Blend Money Cosmetics, so thank you so much for sending it over to me so that I could try it out. And I also do have an affiliate code with Blend Money. I will put it up on the screen. This palette is launching on August 29th. I will have to put up the time on the screen. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I think Maggie is actually thinking of launching it a day early, so let her know about that. So along with the palette, there's also two lip oils. Now there is this really cool teal lip oil and there's a black lip oil, but Blend Money did have some manufacturer delays with that one, so I don't have that one in my hands, but I have this one. I love their lip oils, so I mean, the more the merrier. It is a little bit of an unconventional color, but it will tint your lips a little bit blue, so it is kind of like a fun color. I would probably maybe wear this over like a colorful lipstick or just at home for that lip moisturization while I'm working or something like that. I love the theme. The packaging is so cute. It's kind of like a spooky take on some pastels. And then on the inside, we have predominantly matte shadows with some shimmers as well and some deepening up shades, which, oh my god, I'm so excited to have a complete palette that is pastels and deepening up shades. I feel like that's something that a lot of brands just do, like an all pastel palette, and there's no deepening up shades, which is totally fine. I can definitely go into some other palettes, but I do like to have it all together. And as you can see, something else is different, and that is we do not have the columns of gradients of the shades. Maggie decided to switch it up for this palette and jumble everything up, which I know everyone has different feelings on. I love the gradiated color columns, but this layout does not bother me by any means. If anything, this actually, I think, gets my creative juices going a bit more because I tend to kind of stick with monochromatic looks when I do use some of the other palettes. There are 6 shimmer shades in here and they are so sparkly, and I couldn't wait to dip into this palette, honestly. Another one of those palettes that I could definitely create so many looks. You're going to be seeing this on my channel a lot. I'm going to be pairing it with other Blend Money palettes. I'm going to be blending it with some single shadows for sure. So I'm going to get so much use out of this palette, especially because, again, it has deepening up shades, and to me that is such a big deal. And I also think that the deepening up shades are very strategic tones of deepening up shades, so I think that they go really well in this palette with the rest of these pastels. So let's get right into the 3 looks of this palette, and I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video. So I'm going to be priming with the P. Louise Paint Primer in the shade 0.5, so it's almost white, but it's not fully white. And I'm just gonna tap it on my lid. I have a little bit of residue from earlier. Kind of use my finger to just blend it in. And I'm picking up I'm Fine, and I'm gonna pop that right. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Pigmentation. And I'm just gonna pop that into the inner crease. And then next to it, I think I'm gonna go in with a purple. I'm gonna go in with Frills and Thrills. Just a little bit more. I essentially want it to be very pastel on the outer edges. And then I'm going to deepen up the lid. And I'm using the Blend Money B1 brush. And then I'm taking Rosy Cheeks onto the outer portion. And I'm just going to blend that out. And there are even lighter pastels in here that you can use to help blend these out even further. But I'm just going to kind of stick with it. I'm going back a little bit more with Frills and Thrills. Blending the edge of that. And then I'm going to take the B3 brush from Blend Money, and we're going to deepen this up. Taking Cry If I Want To on the inner lid. And then I'm slowly blending it up. And then I'm going to go back in with a little bit of I'm Fine. And then I'm back in with Cry If I Want To. And then I'm going to take the dark purple. Now, I'm actually not sure if I want to do Morose or Spooky. I think I'm going to go in with Spooky because it looks a little bit darker and kind of the same tone as Cry If I Want To that we just used. So I'm just going to put that right next to it and just slightly blend it up by tapping it. Then I'm gonna go back in with Frills and Thrills. Just realized I wasn't fully zoomed in. And then I think on the outer corner, I'm gonna go in with Melancholy. It's like a warmer brown, so I feel like it's going to blend in nicely into the pink. Or it's gonna go the best with the pink. And then I'm gonna go back in with this other brush, the B1. And I'm gonna go back in with Rosy Cheeks and just use that to blend this in. And look at how nicely that blends in very quickly too. And then of course I gotta bring this under my lower lash line now. Next I'm taking more rose underneath my lower lash line. And I'm just bringing it about halfway in. And then I'm gonna use Dopamine on the edges of that. And then for the shimmer, I'm gonna put down a little bit of my Baby Pixie Epoxy from Fairnay. And yes, I'm gonna be calling it Baby forever and ever because it is just so tiny and so cute. And I'm just gonna tap that all over the lid. Make sure it's nice and spread out. I'm gonna use Crying Sparkles on the inner corner. Oh my goodness, that is so sparkly. This is the shimmer formula I love from Blend Money. And then Big Feelings. Can you see? This one is shifty. Ooh, very dimensional. And then on the outer corner, I'm going to use Cotton Candy. Ooh, so pretty. There's so many flecks throughout that one. Look at this. So shiny. Onto the second look, I'm taking Center of Attention. And I'm just going to pop that onto the inner crease. And then next to it, going in with Temper. Whoa, okay. Pigmented. Look at that. And then next, going back in with Center of Attention just to mesh these two together. I definitely think that Center of Attention is a little bit of a thinner kind of formula because it is so vibrant. It's almost like a pastel neon, essentially. I'm going to take Fake It. This one is also super pastel. So there's some like brighter pastels and then there's some deeper pastels. Just going back in with a little bit more out here so you can see just how light that gets. Taking Brooding on an angle up into this outer corner. I'm just gonna essentially create like an eyeshadow wing without an eyeshadow wing. So I want it to be very controlled up in there. This is the Makeup Shack T63 brush, one of my favorites, especially for tiny work out on the outer corner. I'm just gonna go back in with a tiniest bit more right up in here. And then I'm gonna go back in to Fake It and just use this to really kind of melt everything together. And a little bit more of Brooding. Just trying to be very controlled out here. I'm also taking Brooding underneath my little lash line just a tiny bit. And then I do want to put on some super sparkly shades from here. So I'm going to put on the Fairnay Pixie Epoxy. And then I'm going to use this What's Up Beauty brush I just used on the lower lash line. It's the 111 brush. And I'm going to take sprinkles on it. And I'm just going to put that on an angle onto the outer portion, kind of layering it over the dark green I put down. And then for the rest of the lid, I'm going in with Cupcake on the same brush. And a little bit more here. And I'm going to try it with my finger too. I'm just curious to see how it applies with a finger. Usually I'm applying my shimmers with a finger anyway. Going back in with the green on my finger as well. Definitely a bit more opaque that way. So it really depends on what kind of look you're going for. But that looks so shiny sparkly. I'm going to also use Cupcake on the inner corner. There's a little pop there. On to the third look, I'm taking Gloom on this angled brush from Blend Money Cosmetics. I think it came out with their last collection. I'm just going to create an eyeshadow wing essentially with this. And I did prime again with the P. Louise Paint Primer in the shade 0.5. I'm just going to kind of start adding onto it as I feel fit. I went a little bit further out than I wanted to in the other eye, so now I have to match it because I'm not about to redo that. And just kind of lining it a little bit about like halfway into my lash line. And then I'm just gonna kind of start feathering it out, and then I'm gonna bring it underneath my lower lash line as well. A little bit of fallout here, so I'm just gonna wipe that away. And then I'm gonna take a pencil brush that's a little bit more fluffy, almost like a blendy kind of pencil brush. And I'm just gonna go over the edges of that to kind of blend them a little bit. I just want it to be a little bit more diffused. Like that. And then I'm taking Sugar High and I'm popping that right onto the inner crease. Just kind of keeping it contained. And then next to that, going in with Fake It. And I'm just packing it on, and that's just kind of going to be blending it as well, essentially. But I'm gonna blend it just a little bit too. And then next to that, I'm going in with Feeling Blue, right onto this outer crease. And then back in with a little bit more Fake It. And then for this shimmer, I'm actually not going to use a shimmer from here. I've used pretty much almost all of them. I think there's one shade I haven't used. So I do want to go in. I feel like this look is so pastel, it calls for more of like an iridescent. So I'm going to actually go into the Noctilucent palette. I love using this palette on my eyes too. I am putting down a little bit of Fair & Pixie Epoxy and just going to tap on it. Picked up Transient, and I'm just going to start tapping that where I put down the Fair & Pixie Epoxy. All the way out here, and then especially on this inner portion. And that is just such a ethereal little sparkle. And here's the third finished look. The lip oil has like a very candy-like scent, which I think matches it perfectly. So I'm excited to have more of these. I'm like halfway through one or two of them because I love them so much. They always stay out on my desk in my bag. So now let's talk about the palette. I love it. I mean, spoiler alert, I think you could see from just the 3 looks, I had no issues with it. I think everything blended so beautifully. There's lots of pigmentation. There is the yellow, which usually tends to be just the nature of the really bright yellow pigment like that. That is a little bit drier, and it definitely needs to be tapped on versus blended out. I love all the tones in here. There's some brighter pastels as well as some even lighter pastels. So for example, like Glow Stick and Center of Attention are really bright. And then there's also Sugar High, which is still pastel but a little bit more subdued. And then Buttercream and Fake It as well, a little bit more subdued kind of pastels, as they're basically pastels that could be used to blend out these pastels. And then the deepening up shades, I think there's an amazing spectrum of like this really dark cool tone brown. It almost looks black, but it's not quite black, and I think it's perfect in here. A dark navy blue, a warmer dark brown, and then a dark green, definitely leaning a little bit teal, and then a super cool tone kind of dark purple. I think it's very obvious that this is a very well thought out pastel palette, which of course it is created by Maggie, and she is so good with colorful eyeshadows. So this is a highly usable pastel palette, and the shimmers are so beautiful. They are so sparkly, as you can see in the looks. They are right up my alley. A couple of them are duochrome and just a little bit more dimensional than some of the other shades, and I think they are really fun in here. Those are all my thoughts on this palette. It is another hit from Blend Money Cosmetics, so I can't wait to keep playing around with this palette. Again, like I said, you're gonna definitely be seeing it in lots of videos coming up. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in the palette or the lip oils. I would love to hear your thoughts, and that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.